I'm going to show you how an old guy deals with a differential that weighs over 70 pounds before you put the back on it and the stub axles in. So instead of trying to carry this too far, I'm going to lift it up here, and then I'm going to set it on my bridge jack so I don't have to carry it too far. Then when I go to work on it, all I have to do is raise the lift up to a comfortable level. I suspect that with the bridge, or with the cover and the two stub axles in it, it's probably going at least 90 pounds. And what I have here is new bolts to put the cover on. I bought all this, it's rebuilt, but I wanted to change the gears. And I had a perfectly good 308 gear rear end, which is the same as I have in my 74. I saw no good reason to tear that apart. It doesn't leak or anything. So soon I will get around to putting that differential together, and once I have it together and it weighs that whole 90 pounds, I'm going to be able to just slide the bridge jack back. I'll just slide this whole thing back until I position it under the cross member that this bolts to. And I'll be able to just jack it up and maybe make some fine tuning on the positioning of it for the bolts. Start the bolts, screw it on, and except for the effort in moving the bridge jack with an extra 90 pounds on it, it should be a pretty easy way to get that up there. So that's it for now. I've got some yard chores to do, stuff that isn't as much fun as this. So I'll continue this video probably another day. So I came down today with the intention of putting the differential together. And the first thing I tried to do, I tried to put the plug into the differential cover. Let me try to get a good view of this here, but what happened is, come on, focus camera. There you go. You can see that the thread in the cover is a fine thread. The thread in the plug is a coarse thread, so that stopped me in my tracks. I didn't even bother to unwrap the differential then, because I don't want to put the cover on, because I don't know whether I'm going to get a different cover from Zip Corvette or whether I'm going to get a plug that fits this cover. So I didn't want to put the cover on. But all of that came from Zip Corvette. Surprisingly, when I got the cover, it didn't have a plug. So I ordered that separately. Now it should be the same thing. And if you might recall, I said that I'm not going to send back the perfectly good differential I had in here, because all I was doing was changing the gear ratio. So I'm not going to send that in as a core charge. I'm going to keep that as a spare for either this car or my 74, which has the same 308 gears in it as that. But anyways, this is going to be a delay based on that. I don't want to put it on, because they might opt to send me a cover with a coarse thread, or they could opt to send me a plug with a fine thread. I don't know what they're going to do until I talk to them. So, if you recall, back in the fall, I put the front end tie rods and the drag link and the idler arm, but I didn't get to paint it because it was too cold by the time I put it on. So today being a marginally good day for painting in Ohio, the best one I've had in a while and probably the best that I'm gonna have for a while, I decided to take that off and paint it. Like I said, it's a marginally good day to paint, so it's drying, but it's not drying that fast. So I'm going to let it set for a few days. I'm not going to put it on until I'm sure it's perfectly dried. It probably is now, but you know, I might get fingerprints on it if I do it now, or I should say rubber glove prints. So the next thing I decided to do, I did clean up the mounting bolts for the differential that mount it to the cross member, and I have them temporarily screwed into the old differential until I get some clarification on what it is I'm going to get for that. So that didn't take long. So in order to not have a total waste of time, I decided just for kicks, I'm going to take a caliper and see if I can measure my pistons, or my cylinders I should say, and probably my pistons as well, to see if these things have ever been bored. The cylinder walls look really great. It looks like it was taken apart and they were honed, and you can still see the hone marks. So I don't know if I'm going to have anything done with this block, but I need to have it checked out to make sure that I'm going to get the results I want. So I'm going to set up the camera on a tripod and try and measure these cylinders and see what I have. What I have is a Harbor Freight caliper, digital. I turn it on, make sure it's on inches. It is not, it's on millimeters. Okay, now it's on inches. Zero it out and see if I can measure the cylinder. Trying to get it at the largest point. If you can read that, it's 3.9855 inches. So according to that, I would say that this block has never been bored. It does have a little ridge there, probably carbon built up on it, that's making it a little bit hard to measure. And as I said, these measurements may not be accurate because of that. But they're close enough to tell me it's unlikely, 3.965, it's unlikely that this block has been bored. So, seeing as it's in such good shape, I may be able to just have it cleaned up and honed again to make sure it's trying to get that at the widest point. And like I said, there's carbon on the inside of that. 3.910 inches. So it's a 4-inch bore in the 350. So this block apparently was not abused. You might remember if you've seen my earlier videos that really tore this apart because I wanted to put a roller rocker or a roller cam in it. 3.9840. So glad to see this. What, a 46-year-old block, 3.905 over there. I'm just going to call out what they are. This is the number 1 cylinder. .845. .880. And this block has not been bored, so I might just 3.780. Again, it's probably due to two things: my inability to get it completely at the largest part of the bore, and then the carbon buildup at the edge. 3.830. But I am still going to take it in, have it dipped and magnafluxed and make sure that it's good. But I checked the pistons the other day, put a magnet on them. The pistons appear to be aluminum. So I think that was an upgrade that somebody did, and they are in good shape. So I'm pretty certain that I can just rebuild that without boring it. There's the pistons up there. Little magnet. Will stick to the ring, but not to the piston. And there was no measurable play in the between the connecting rod and the, I forget what it's called now, the shaft that connects it to the piston. It'll come to me. They usually do after a while. But I'm very pleased with the results of that. So like I said, there's no scoring on the cylinder walls. You can even see where the hone marks were. I think just a re-ring. I wouldn't put the same rings back in. There's no sense in doing that. I won't put the same bearings in. I'll take the crankshaft in and see if it needs to be polished or whether it needs to be ground down and oversized bearings put in. But for now, the engine rebuild looks like it's going to be maybe a little cheaper than I thought it would be.